I want what you have. I want what you have. That's a thought that has been plaguing or running through my mind quite a bit. And oftentimes I hear people talk about it over and over again. I want what that person has. I like what they have. What they have over there is really attractive. And it bothers me. It bothers me a lot. And it's because, I think about the fact that each and every one of us have, we have our own journey that we're on, and we're gifted opportunities, gifted different things to make our journey what it is, what it should be. But oftentimes we find ourselves looking at what other people have. We're picking up our phones, we're scrolling. Yeah, that's attractive. Man, I wish I could have that in my space. We're looking around, we're thinking, man, look at that car that they're driving. My car side is raggedy. So I want what you have. I'm sure you've probably been there. No, don't point at anyone else and say, yeah, I know what you mean, Gerren. Like, other people always say that. I hear people say that. No, you've probably said it. I know I have. And it bothers me. Does it bother you? Like, when you identify someone has something that you want, what do you do next? What happens within you? Does your body get tense? Does your mind start reeling? Do you start thinking about ways in which you can attain that thing that the person has? Or do you look around and find yourself being grateful? Gratefulness. That's something that I've been hearing a lot of people talk about most recently. I want to be thankful. I want to be grateful. Some people listen to Gary Vee and he talks a lot about gratitude. And I hear people sometimes saying, yeah, as he's talking to them, they're like, yeah, I get it. And sometimes I wondered, like, do you really get it? I'll give you an example. Most recently, I was scrolling along social media and I saw something that really jumped out at me. I don't need it. I want it. And as I looked around my home and I saw what I had, I paused and I began to write down, like intentionally write down the things that I had around me. And as I looked at the list, it was like, what are you doing, Gerren? What are you doing? You have everything that you need. And I don't know if you're a spiritual person or not, but in the Bible, it talks about God says, I will give you everything that you need. So why are you worrying? Look at the birds that you look at, that you take pictures of outside. I mean, they're still alive. They find food everywhere. God will give us everything that we need. And for me, I looked at myself and I looked at my list and I said, Gerren, you're fine. Like, stop. We have all that we need. Some people have asked me, Gerren, like, how did you get started? And I've shared the story before. But in my book, it talks about, I found my calling in a toilet bowl. We're talking about having everything that we need, right? So the question is, how did I find my calling in a toilet bowl? And how am I grateful for that moment? Well, I'll take you back. So I'm cleaning one of my clients, their toilet bowl, okay? Literally cleaning the restroom. And I'm going through the process and I'm looking around and making everything clean, fresh, and inviting. I'm tired. I miss my wife. I'm hungry. It's late at night. Not many things are open. I have a number of jobs that I need to get finished before the night is over. And earlier that night, I had a conversation with one of my clients because he was working late, as I've had on other nights. And because of some things that I had done, which is I had looked at the books that was on his desk, looked at the books that were on his shelf, and I would go to the bookstore and read the same books that he was reading, and then come back and talk to him about some of the things that I learned in the books. There was an excitement that was occurring within me, and he was inviting me to sit at his table and talk because I was bringing value to what he was going through. And the joy that brought to my life, the fact that me, the janitor, was able to add value to my clients, like his decision makings, made me recognize that assessment test that I'd taken, and if I haven't talked to you about the assessment test, I will. But that assessment test that I had taken, which said, Gerren, you are a coach, a teacher, a counselor, all those types of titles, like it came into play. And while scrubbing that toilet bowl, I recognized that I had just used those talents, those skills in that assessment to speak to my client. And they gained value from that. They told me that. It wasn't me just feeling good about myself. They told me that. Like, Gerren, can we do this again tomorrow? I was like, yeah, but I'm just your janitor. Am I? And through that whole experience, I was then able to recognize this is what I'm supposed to do. And cleaning that toilet that night allowed me to see and to experience what I was supposed to do, my purpose, my calling. So the question was, where else can I do this? I did it here at my client. I did it at the bookstore. I did it at the coffee shop. I did it when I spoke to my friends. And it wasn't always perfect. Sometimes I would be very aggressive. I'm pushing them because I've learned something new and I want them to learn it too. And then some of my friends would push me away. Like, Gerren, you're a little too intense for me, dude. Intensity. I brought it. So then I was able to scale things back and started looking at myself. Gerren, you've recognized that this is something that you feel very strongly about. This is something that you feel purposeful, driven. Like, your friends are saying, scale it back, dude. So I had to scale it back. So I began to learn and study, how can I be a better communicator of something that I felt passionate about? So that became the next thing that I worked on. Now, I don't want to get too far away from this. We're talking about gratitude. By me cleaning a toilet, I had the epiphany. Like, it came to me like, yo, this is what you're supposed to do. And from then, when that light bulb went off in my head, I haven't stopped since. I have continually grown and studied and like honed in on my craft of how to communicate better with the people that I come in contact with. How can I bring value to their lives on a daily basis? That's been my journey. So that anyone that I come in contact with, anyone that I speak to, I am able to now communicate with them effectively. It's still something that I'm working on. My wife will tell you, like, Gerren, great communicator. She'll give you the side eye all day long. But it's something that she has brought to my attention, so it became something that I am working on. And that's what I do every day. Here's the deal. It's not because I foresee myself just standing in front of an audience or a crowd talking on a stage. No, I'm talking about communicating with the people that I come in contact with every day. The person at the grocery store, the person who bags my groceries, the person who washes the car, the person who delivers our water to our home. How do I communicate with them effectively? Here's an example. So 2 weeks ago, my daughters, they said they wanted to ride their bikes, and my bike was down, okay? And I recognized that my bike needed to be repaired. So I go to the local bike store. And while in there, I'm noticing that there aren't any bikes on the rack. Speaking to the owner, she's a local owner, and I said, how's business going? And she's telling me all the challenges that they're going through, can't get their supplies and so forth. And I said, hey, I wanted to get my bike fixed. And she said quickly, well, we're going to be taking vacation for a while. I'm not sure I'll be able to get to your bike for the next 2 weeks. I said, well, go ahead. You can hold it. She's like, you sure? I was like, yeah. Just go ahead and fix it whenever you can. So she said, okay. Before I left, I turned around to her and I said, hey, how's things been going for you guys with this whole COVID thing that's going on? And we began to talk, and we spoke for about 10, 15 minutes about her business, about her challenges, what's going on in her world. As I walked out the door, she called me out and she said, hey, Gerren, why don't you come back around 4:30, just before we close? We'll have your bike ready. Now, in my mind, had I not spoken to her about her business and her challenges, I think it'll be 2 weeks before I got my bike back. But because I was willing and aware enough to talk, not even aware enough. I was curious about her business, and I took the extra step of speaking to her about it. All of a sudden, she knew that I cared about her and her business, and she was willing to make the accommodations, the necessary changes in her day to ensure that I had my bike. Ever since I've had my bike, I've been riding daily with my daughters. My daughters still ask me, like even today, hey Dad, can we go and ride bikes? Had I not learned how to effectively communicate, had I not chosen to continue to work on my craft, I would not have the experiences of getting my bike fixed so that I can have the other experiences of riding with my daughters. And it all started from the toilet bowl. You may not believe it, but it started from the toilet bowl. That's how far back the journeys that you see out there when you look on social media and you think, I want to be like that person. I want what they have. You think it's just that, but it goes back to their toilet bowl experience. So my question is today, like, what's your toilet bowl experience? I'm sure you've had it. It may have passed you by because you thought about it as just being a job or just being something that aggravated you, or you hate this space, or you don't like what you're doing. And we get all funky about things when life is showing us what we're supposed to do next. What's your toilet bowl experience?